listen, there will be people, now I've kind of recovered. It took me maybe like 15, 20 minutes to recover from the sickness, and I'm still drugged up. But anyway, listen, there's going to be people who say that, well, just because we know about your struggle doesn't mean we're supposed to stick up for you. I mean, that is like somebody saying, well, just because I see an old lady getting raped doesn't mean I'm supposed to help her. Just because I know what the right thing is doesn't mean I should do it. I mean, there are little kids who don't even take martial arts who have a higher moral standard and live by a better moral code than these people do. There is no excuse for what they're doing. And the fact that they would even argue, that they're lost if they try to argue that. They try to say, well, because, there is no argument to make. It's like trying to argue that you're right to be a pedophile. There's nothing you can say. You are a fucking spiritual bottom feeder. And you know that I would beat you. You're a fucking coward. Because you know that I am better than you are, you hide behind this pathetic nonsense. We all know, and I can break down why I'm better than you are. I'm more athletic, I'm more intense, more agile, with more dexterity. What the drugging has, the drugging has hindered my kicking skills a bit. Yes, I'll acknowledge that. But my hand skills more than make up for that, and I will use them and my speed to get inside and score on you, to beat you up, to stab you, whatever. So I'm a superior martial artist, and that's why. I'm a better blocker than you are. I'm a better striker, especially with my hands, and that creates a huge margin. Your technique won't mean anything because you simply can't keep up with my hand speed. Before you know it, I'll have struck you before you can stop me. And you know it. All of you know it. None of you have any excuse. Okay, I don't want to hear no whining ass weak fucking argument. Well, you're a fucking lowly, dishonorable dog. Siding with the New World Order by default makes you a dishonorable dog. Being privy to despicable, knowledge of despicable actions and doing nothing about it makes you a dishonorable dog. If I know somebody's being gang raped, for instance, then it's my job as an honorable martial artist to do something about it. If I know it and mainstream society doesn't know it, of course it's my job to do something about it. If I know it and 100 people I know aren't going to do shit about it, know it as well, then of course it's my job to do something about it. The fuck you talking about? Your weak ass fucking arguments. Fucking idiots. And to know that this operation includes raping political dissidents and raping targeted individuals and you contribute, you are disgusting. None of you are martial artists. Because people in secret societies typically and usually almost every single time know about these sorts of things and do nothing about it, they by default are not martial artists to the truest meaning of the word. Martial arts implies honor. It implies a moral code, and I've been trying to explain this to you stupid motherfuckers. Now, I would love to hear your reasoning. Why is it called Fighting for Honor, and it says History of African Martial Art Traditions in the Atlantic World? So your argument then becomes, well, in my culture, martial arts doesn't come with a moral code? That's your argument? Tell that to the samurai. Tell that to the karate guy. In your culture, martial arts doesn't come with honor and a moral code? That's your fucking that's your argument. That is what you're saying when you say, well, just because I'm helping a bunch of dogs rape, drug, and cheat every fucking buddy doesn't mean I'm supposed to do it. Yes, it does, you ignoble coward! Since psychiatry decided to make moves on me in 2011, February 26th, I've seen a steady decrease in martial arts. Well, they really decided before that. They decided the first step to running a psych op was to get me into the psych ward. So then they could automatically say, well, this guy's been to the psych ward since he started complaining about this. He has relapsed, or he had a late onset schizophrenia, or whatever. First they established their argument, then they proceeded with the psychological warfare. Many targeted individuals ask themselves, well, what kind of a cowardly, indifferent monster could do this in a world of despair, anguish, and lamenting? you know, and so it is totally normal, you know. Martial arts is my life. You know how many videos I have with martial art gis? It is my life. Every single day I do this. Every day I talk about martial arts principles and or morals related to it. The most righteous men in society should be martial artists. We have the same kind of rearing as everyone else. And then we have martial art masters and philosophies and what have you that have taught us things, you know. So when all is said and done, obedience and respect do not come anywhere near morality and honor, righteousness. These are what matter most. So if you have to disrespect everybody that society wants you to respect in order to be righteous, moral, and honorable, then by all means do it and do it well. And make sure they understand why you do it. So, why then don't these people do anything? Well, it comes down to conformity, assimilation, and their inability to take the right risks. Life is about taking risks. When you go to the job, you know, you go for a job, right? It's about taking the right risk. When you go for an interview, there's a chance that you're going to be turned down. But it's the right risk to take, you know, most likely. So you go for that interview. You know, life is about taking the right risks and using your moral compass to do so, right? I mean, isn't that common sense? So, you know, we need to remind these people there's such a thing as wrongful termination. Whether you work in the military, whether you work in mental health, if these people terminate you for not wanting to run a psych op on people or any other illegal activity, you can sue them for wrongful termination. And also, you are not alone. You know, no matter how evil people are, in a group, there's always some people who feel like what they're doing is wrong. That's why people drop out of gangs. That's why, you know, every once in a while cops are caught for, you know, breaking the law. And sometimes other cops talk about it. That's why there's snitches, you know. There's different reasons people sell out. Sometimes they're caught. Sometimes they just have a crisis of conscience, a moral crisis. You know, the right thing to do in this situation, if you are a part of it, is to gather evidence that this is going on. Okay? Gather evidence, illegal and otherwise. Gather evidence you can use in court. Gather evidence that I can use on YouTube to increase the chances. Say you can't submit it in court, you can still give it to me and I can play a recording. Record your meetings with your handlers, your phone calls. Keep phone transcripts. Keep records that can be used in court and otherwise. And we can expose this thing. We can blow it wide open. If we can't beat them in court, we can beat them in the court of public opinion. And then we can work together. We can stick together and we can bring these people down. And I don't want to hear any crying about my politics. Politics should never be a reason to keep one from doing the right thing. You can say, well, you're homophobic. You know, you're a misogynist. Even if I do hate women, what does it matter? It's still right and wrong. You know, I'm not going to help that little kid because he's a homophobic little kid. You know, is that your fucking argument? You know, there comes, right is right, wrong is wrong. If I see a faggot getting fucking beat to death, you know, I'm going to intervene. I don't like his politics, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And being a man of honor, righteousness, and morality demands that you stand for principle. I expect more from all you know, covert harassers, you government stalkers, you people who are participating in psychological warfare against innocent people. To do a regular targeted individual is wrong. It's just as bad as pedophilia. But to do a man of principle such as myself wrong is ultra sinister, intensely, unspeakably malicious and evil. You are affecting billions of people so you and your family can secure a financial future in your mind. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but that's your reasoning. You say, well, if I go against these people, I can kiss my sweet job goodbye. You can also sue them for wrongful termination, get another job, get respected by society, have people you never met help you out because they respect what you did. But you shouldn't even be thinking about it. You should just simply do it because it's right. But instead of doing the right thing, you refuse to take the right risks. And you know what that makes you. I don't have to repeat it anymore. You know what that makes you. Gather evidence. Let's blow this thing wide open. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for some targeted individual you might think is cute or nice, or some targeted individual who sees things the way you do it, the way you do. Do it because it's right. It's the right thing to do for humanity. If this is what they do to individuals, what's to stop them from doing it to everybody? How much will it take for you to realize what you're doing is wrong? If they ask you to help them rape 100 children, 1,000, 1,000,000? If they ask you to kill 100 million people, will you then say, well, you know what, I'm going to stop right there? You're playing a sick little game with people who worship the devil. And the name of the game is, how much evil can I make this sucker do before he says, that's enough? And how can I get him to do more evil than how can I get him to push the line back further and further, until he's willing to do anything to keep his job? What kind of pathetic nonsense can I hold over this person's head? Naked pictures? Moments of indiscretion? There comes a time when you admit you did wrong, you accept the consequences, and you do right. How much, what can I make this female do to keep this naked picture from coming out? Can I make her kill 100 million people? Can I make her drug 100,000 people? Can I make her gang stalk 30,000 people? How much can I get this person to do? That's the game you're playing. Bribery, blackmail, coercion, and you are going along with it. I'll make it easy for you. I came out and said, most likely I was sexually assaulted by a man when I was drugged up. I've aborted, I've drove my, an ex-girlfriend, maybe 14 years ago, to the abortion clinic and aborted my son. Late-term abortion, I believe. I did wrong. I accept the consequences publicly for it. I didn't do wrong when I was raped, but, I've made mistakes. I have embarrassing things. They probably have videos of me being raped. Who knows? They probably have videos of me going on a date with a fucking hermaphrodite or a tranny. Who knows all they have? I don't fucking know. I don't even know whether every female I dated was really a woman in this world we live in. I live 45 minutes from San Francisco. Lord knows I hate the LGBT community. And whether or not they hate me, it's still a matter of doing the right thing. There are so many of you doing this. And it speaks so horribly for humanity, not just your races and your political groups and your different groups and entities and organizations. It speaks horribly, about humanity that so many of you are doing this. So many. And you have no excuse. Some of you have the sissy-ass excuse like, oh, this person's mentally ill, when you know damn well that on record, even according to the lying shrinks, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They misdiagnose people all the time. You know this. Many of you work in psych wards and you've been there when you've seen shrinks being completely unfair with people. You know it. But you're going to play fucking stupid. Because you don't know when to take the right risks. You don't know when to draw the line. All these police officers little kids look up to when they want to grow up and be a cop, are lacking moral will every moment of every day as they go along with this. All these martial artists in secret societies who know this takes place and they do nothing about it. They lack. And then little kids, they have little classes full of little kids, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids that they're teaching martial arts and talking about discipline with, when they lack the discipline, honor, principle, and righteousness every moment of every day. It's time for you people to take a stand and expose this. It's time for you to stop making people victims and being victims of your lack of courage yourself. Because you're cowards. We all have to suffer. Your family has to suffer, and you have to suffer. 7 billion people plus in the world have to suffer because you're cowards. You betray transcendent heroes because you're cowards. You covertly drug revolutionaries who were trying to change the world because you're cowards. It's time for you to step up, grow a pair, have some heart, do the right thing. Forget about what I believe, whether what I believe offends you or not. Whether or not you're going to make me a fucking hero in the process when you expose that I'm absolutely right. That should mean nothing to you at all. The only thing that should matter is doing the right thing, or else your philosophies have failed you. All you secular humanists, you call this humane? You sit there playing stupid about gang stalking, speaking passionately out against, oh, this doesn't exist. When you're a gang stalker, you know damn well that psychological warfare exists because you're participating in it, but you're going to sit there and pretend that it doesn't, and you call yourself a secular humanist, a socialist. What part of a righteous social policy allows for you to persecute innocent fucking people and drive them to do violence like Aaron Alexis and Myron May? You are very wrong. And you're proving your philosophies and your families wrong. They did not raise you better than this. Your philosophy hasn't allowed you to be better than this. What you actually believe in. You might be a fake Christian, but what you actually believe in is an inferior philosophy. Had you been a real Christian, you would have stopped this a long time ago. The moment you found out that this is how it is, you would have resigned and exposed. Fake Christianity is an inferior philosophy. Secular humanism, which is founded by these people. Christianity was founded by a man who died for what he believed in out of the love for all humanity, and all the greatest men since have been Christians. Period. But your philosophies were founded by secret society trash full of selfishness, childishness, and the Luciferian doctrine. And you believe it, and it has allowed you to do this. In the name of pseudoscience, in the name of selfishness. You're self-deluded. You know it. All you people need help. You need spiritual help, moral help, and physical help. And that help that I'm trying to give you, your families, the entire world, billions of people, you are trying to stop me from helping them. Therefore, 65 million preventable deaths plus more than 65 million preventable deaths every year are on your hands as long as you participate in this. It's about time you reduce the amount of blood on your hands. There's a lot of blood on your hands right now. There's a lot of suffering that you have contributed to right now. It's time that you stopped. It's time that you started being part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Evil men are in control, haven't you noticed? It's time for you to practice what you preach. Fake Christians, fake Christian preachers, martial artists, police officers. It's time that you show and prove. It's time you expose this, and if they fire you for it, you sue the fucking hell out of them. You gather the evidence. All criminals make mistakes. So detect detectives, collect the clues, figure out their mistakes, and convict them. Do your jobs. Internal Affair, do your job. FBI, do your job. Everybody, do your job. And do the right thing, those of you whose job it is not to, I'm out of time. So this video is wrongful termination part 2. All right. So now that I have pointed out to them exactly why they're wrong and given them alternatives to going along with it, I've raised the stakes. And the people in charge will be made aware of this by the people who are the best little bitches among them. They'll say, well, this guy said this, and I'm worried that this whole thing might come apart. Something along those lines, Somebody might hear what he's saying and say, you know what, he's right. And so they're going to report this. The stakes have been raised. And that doesn't change anything. No matter how hopeless it looks, the right thing is still the right thing. You know? It doesn't matter how many petty thieves you arrest, you know? Men are not judged by their good deeds for the most part compared to the bad. When a murderer murders, do we say, well, you know, he was a philanthropist, you know? Yeah, we might consider that in the sentencing. That might shave off a few fucking years from a 65 to fucking, you know, triple life sentence. But it's ultimately not going to change anything. You will be convicted by the Most High for what you didn't do and the evil things that you did and who you are is reflected in your inability to ever take a stand for what is right. It is not enough to say, well, my family, my family, my family. You know, when I drove my ex-girlfriend to the abortion clinic, it was because I was worried about my family, my child, you know, growing up in a world where they would suffer, where you would be stigmatized with having a mental disorder that he doesn't have. You know, my parents not liking the fact that I just brought a child into the world. You know, I was worried about my family. You know, take it from somebody who fucking knows from experience. Your family is never an excuse to do the wrong thing. And when you do, and I did it once, you learn from it. You feel that regret, you feel that pain, and you do the right thing. You say, damn it, this is wrong. I don't care if you're a Freemason for 30 years. You know, 30 years ago, you should have said, damn it, this is wrong. But now, certainly now, you need to do that. I don't care if you're a Satanist. You should say, damn it, this is wrong. What the hell am I doing? Stop being so afraid. You know? You can even team up with me. You can be a gay person teaming up with me as long as you're not a gang stalker. I'll even be in videos with you and say, hey, this is what I believe. It's contrary to what he believes. You know? But we're exposing this thing together. This is what I believe. This is what this feminist believes. I'm a Christian. They're an atheist. I think women betray me. They think women are the best thing on this planet. You know, whatever. You know? If I truly believe that you are a repentant sinner here to defeat my enemies, then we can work together. Nobody says that what I believe is what is going to be when the smoke clears. And a lot of you use that weak excuse. You say, well, change this and that. And all that is control. You know why? There's a million reasons why I'll never change what I believe. But one of them that you should consider that probably you'll realize is that that is doing the enemy's work for them. Putting me under the control of someone else. Not allowing me to express what I really believe. That is what they want. You know? Yes, my arguments are superior to the opposition. And if you're part of the opposition, my arguments are certainly superior to yours. You know, is that a reason why I should switch it up to make you more comfortable? You know? Don't let, you know, your family's probably a better reason to fucking, you know, be a bootlicker than fucking not liking my political views. That's very cowardly. It's very immature. You know, we can debate every fucking video and let the fucking viewers decide. Stop being a coward. You know? I've debated people. I prove that I'm not just saying this. I have Satanists in my interview list. I have atheists in my interview list. I have a person who believes that these people are robots in my interview list. I have let other people express their views on my channel in my videos. On record. On fucking record. I've played clips from the opposition view and then I debunked them or I defeated them or, you know, I put my views out there that were adverse to theirs. People, all kinds of opposition view people, for better or worse, have expressed their views in my videos. So to say, well, you know, your family is not a good excuse, as I explained already. You know, you're saying, you know, your political views don't line up with mine is not a good excuse. You know, especially if you're a cop or something like that, you know. Your job doesn't say, well, you know, only arrest criminals if they don't see things the way that you do. Or only help innocent people if they see things the way that you do. It's fucking ridiculous. You know, when I'm helping people, I'm helping the world. Most of the world doesn't see things exactly like I do. They don't make a list like this. Most of the world is, you know, they don't even know what's going on. And I'm helping them. They're doing things in a way that's helping my enemies, and I'm helping them every moment of every day as I'm practicing martial arts to be the best. So the best, and I am the best. So the best martial artist out there is someone who helps the world. So even when I'm doing martial arts, it's helping them. Even when I'm taking care of myself, it's helping my videos be better, helping me help them. Everything that I'm doing is helping everybody regardless of what they believe. How dare you say that you only help me if I stop saying this, that, or the other thing? It's despicable, deplorable, reprehensible, repugnant, and unacceptable. Abnormally evil. So, when you look at this, my friends, stop being a political whore, stop being a controlled whore for one moment of your life. Do the right thing. Stand with me against the enemies of humanity. Even if you're a spiritual bottom feeder. If that's what you made up your mind to be, then do the best you can while being that. It's the least you could fucking do. You're doing things in a way that offend the masses of Christians in this country alone. The biggest philosophy in the world, Christianity. If you're doing things in a way to offend that, at least try to be a decent human being. Stop crying about your family. If you're on parole and you'll go back, go do your time, come out and raise your family as a man. And say, look, I'm sorry, son. These people, are going to make me go back to prison because I have to do what's right. But I wouldn't be a good father to you if I bootlicked to the New World Order just so I could spend time with you. I'm going to go do my time and show you what a real man does. And show you by example what a real man is. And then I'm going to come out and raise you as an uncontrolled, free thinker who is a man of principle. No matter what your situation is, you really have no excuse. You just convince yourself that every single day because it is the easy way out. Think about it. Okay, now to calmly discuss the opposition view. There's two main arguments that they will make against me. Number one is that I am making normal people who are not extraordinary men, not stand-up motherfuckers, if you will, regular people, I'm putting them in a position where they are never going to man up, but they're going to feel bad continually that they didn't man up. Argument number two, and these are what I consider the two best opposition view arguments, and I will address them. Argument number two is that I'm going to put people who aren't mentally ready to take on the New World Order in a position where they will man up out of some kind of guilt, out of some compassion or empathy, and they will man up and they will get destroyed. A fish manning up to a pack of wolves, or a group of sharks or something. A sheep manning up to a pack of wolves or something. Okay, so let's address this, shall we? Well, first of all, it begins with a few, and then more and more people join in. Then this thing is turned. Then the tables are turned on these people. They're on the run. Instead of them feeling all comfortable with a bunch of people on their side, there's a lot of defectors, and they start getting paranoid. There's defectors. What are we gonna do? This whole thing's coming apart. They look all stressed out on their table. They're like, "Fuck! What are we gonna do?" So that's part of the reason why those arguments are almost obsolete. They're not effective arguments. Also, the best counter argument I can make, or that could be made probably, is that one should always do the right thing regardless of the price, regardless how ready they feel. A lot of people have trouble with that one. Because some people, this is part of the problem with Buddhism. Buddhism believes in non-action and inaction. That's why a lot of Buddhists will move away to the middle of nowhere to a Buddhist retreat, and they will just let the world play out. They believe the best way to address things is to let them work themselves out. The karma is at place, and if something happens to somebody, it's their karma. Don't interfere. The less you deal in karma, the more likely you'll be ready to move on, because you can't move on until you've fulfilled all your karma. And so to interfere with someone else's karma means to add more karma to your plate. And that, my friends, is a very dangerous, dangerous way of thinking. Very, 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 very dangerous once you go down that specific version of Buddhism, you know, which is a very common form of Buddhism, you know, it's dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And so, you know, once you think like that, the idea of honor is more of like selfishness. You know, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to risk more karma on my plate. It's a philosophy of selfishness, and that is the characteristics of Satanism. Now, I'm not saying that Buddhists are bad people. I am saying that they are neutral people. So let me see what this is. And they would probably say that themselves. That's why they have the yin and the yang, the black and the white. What does that symbol really mean? It means that karma, you know, you do something good for somebody, it comes back to you, great. You know, there's light and there's shadows. You know, there's a balance. And that everything is happening for a reason. There's a greater design. And, you know, when you really look at what that means, it's saying the world is always going to have good and evil. You can't disrupt the balance without interfering with karma. You know, therefore you're feeding into it more. What you do is you become at peace with nature, and you know, this is what they believe. You feed the animals, and you know, you take care of nature, you take care of yourself, you treat people kind of good, and you know, and you go through life like that. And you try to be as wise about it as you can. I disagree with this. I believe that evil demands an opposite reaction. There's intense evil consuming this planet. The more people who take an indifferent kind of approach, the more these evil people win. Okay? Because greedy people are on one side of the spectrum. You know, then there's good people. And if good people start saying, you know what, I like what these Buddhist guys are doing. They're nice and they're kind old people, and they start moving this way, right? Then we have a big middle. You know, we have a big evil side, a big middle, and a very small good side. Because very few of these evil people are going to go, you know what, I'm going to be a Buddhist. No. Who's going to be a Buddhist? It's going to be they're going to take from the good side. So then we're going to have a very small side of people that fight with evil people, people who go out of their way to be good. We're going to have a huge bunch of neutral cowards, and we're going to have a huge bunch of evil people. That is the result of Buddhism as it takes over as a philosophy, exactly what the most evil people in the spectrum want. They say, hey, as long as the more Buddhist takes away from our adversaries and our opposition view, the better. You know, they mean to destroy the opposition view by any means necessary. Make them Buddhists, make them evil, whatever it takes, until there's barely any of them. That's the problem with Buddhism. And that's the problem with the martial artists who come to that conclusion. You have martial artists that are flat out sold out, and then you have a bunch of indifferent, neutral motherfuckers. And that is not honor. Honor is fighting for what's right. Now you got to ask yourself, and this is the hypocrisy of these people, why would you train a combat art if you believe in inaction? Why not just train how to run, right? Why not just run fucking 10 miles a day? Why train to fight, you fucking hypocrites? Because on some level you know that I'm right. That evil must be addressed. Very silly how they think. They say don't fight unless they threaten the temple. Don't fight unless they threaten Buddhist artifacts. But isn't that of this world? You're training to defend the artifacts in the temple and yourself, all things that are material and physical in this world. What do you call that? That's hypocrisy. That is absolute hypocrisy. So yes, I'm saying that Buddhists are neutral and they're fucking hypocrites and they're wrong. So who's right? Christians who have decided that they need to address evil, you know, by any means necessary, by any means that is righteous and needed, they're who's right. Same with Muslims who have come to that conclusion. And some Jews who have come to that conclusion. It's the bottom line. So, you know, should these cowards who are afraid to do the right thing adopt a Buddhist philosophy that justifies them doing nothing about this so it continues? You know, do you really think this thing would solve itself if nobody steps up to do something? Unless the Buddhist philosophy is, hey, well, you know, there's good people out there. We're not one of them, but one of those good people will put an end to this. Is that their philosophy? Or that perhaps evil men will destroy themselves. What is old money then? Ask the Buddhists, what does old money mean? It means that the evil people still have the fucking money. They didn't destroy themselves. They have a bunch of fucking scientific bitches helping them out. You can't say, well, I'm not going to do anything because somebody's going to do something, and it's not going to be me because I'm a selfish fuck concerned with reaching enlightenment and indifferent to humanity. Now that is a form of karma, my Buddhist friends, because not to act is as much of an act as to act, and in this case, it is an act of cruelty and evil. Think about it. Non-action, nonsense, non-thinker. You see, even the word enlightenment, what happens to the darkness when the light comes? The light can only shine when it defeats the dark. So somebody trying to become a light, a beacon of light, without addressing the darkness is a fool. You want to be light where there is light already? Then how can we see you? Then how are you accomplishing anything? How are you reaching some higher understanding? So they want to go to some wooded area where, you know, technology in the concrete jungle hasn't perverted and corrupted already. That's the idea. And so we'll be a light out here where their innocence still exists. Absolute cowardice. And they know it. You know it. I sure as hell know it. And no, you know, I don't mean to pick on Buddhists. How can you pick on these kind old people? But you have to say where the problem is. So all you people want to make that argument. You're making these people who aren't so bad feel bad, or making them want to man up, and they're scared, and they're either going to do it and pay the price, or they're not going to do it and feel guilty all their life. There is darkness, okay? Say that to the 65 million plus preventable deaths every year. Weigh that against that. You know, I don't want to hear my conscience. Well, I don't want to feel my conscience bothering me. I don't want to hear any whining. I don't want to see anyone look at me with those puppy dog fucking eyes, because I'm right. Are we all fucking clear? And if you think I'm wrong, go ahead and say it in the comments, but don't say it in a way that tries to make me feel bad, because I am fucking right, and I feel bad for the 65 plus million preventable deaths, all the lamenting anguish, suffering, destitution, and poverty already. So please, state your fucking arguments. Now, I've said it many, many times. The commonalities here are philosophies. Philosophies that are conducive to the New World Order's agenda and that exacerbate these problems that face humanity. You see, martial artists who are helping them conveniently believe in Buddhism, a philosophy of only helping oneself, non-action and inaction. Non-attachment doesn't just mean you're not attached to the world. It means you don't really care about the world. Think about it. You say, well, I'm going to move on. I'm trying to reach enlightenment. All this doesn't matter. This is just some sort of illusion or material, you know, irrelevant material, you know, objects. They may as well be inanimate objects. And so their code is twisted. Now think about this, my friends. We must attack the philosophies, and in this video you will hear me get very upset. I know that many Buddhists are good people. As far as, you know, they don't really do anything wrong, things of this nature. If everyone in the world was a Buddhist, perhaps, you know, well, definitely it would be better than it is now. But I do not believe Buddhism is the ultimate truth. is the absolute truth. I believe that Christianity is. So I believe if everyone was a real Christian, real, that the world would be a better place. Now let's look at how these people are selected, shall we? Before people are recruited, they are basically, they are psychologically profiled. Is this person's mentality, such that it allows for them to help us without deviating from the course that we have set for them? Are they a fake Christian who's addicted to drugs? Are they a fake Christian that values their family more than doing the right thing? Are they a Buddhist who is not going to move against us? Is not going to tread any feathers? Do they believe? Is their honor code, one that is actually a dishonorable one that believes in obedience over morality? Are they a Satanist? Are they a liberal with a complex that makes it so they will be loyal to us? Do they have some habit, some immoral, disgusting habit that they're feeding, some despicable behavior that they are addicted to, drugs, pedophilia, rape, that we can appeal to, that will keep them obedient to us? Are they conformists? Are they assimilated? Okay, so the spiritual bottom feeding, I cannot get to that enough. Okay? And all those people are materialistic. Satanists are materialistic. LGBT, they're valuing the materialistic over the spiritual to the point where they will infiltrate different religions and try to make those religions conform to their materialistic lust of the flesh agenda. The main reason, for example, I feel pain from being denied women is being denied love. God is love, and I'm not going to, this is the intro. I'm not going to elaborate on that. Not in this video, not in any of these clips. Not that it's not important, but that's not what this greater video is about. But these people, I do not believe that two people of the same sex can be in love. I believe that is a corruption, that is disgusting, for the same reason you can't truly be in love with your computer, your car, your donkey, your dog. That is a corruption. That is disgusting. Love is between man and a woman. Everything else is sort of like a puppy love, until you reach about 13 or 14. After puberty, I consider you a man or a woman. I'm not going to have sex with you if you're not under 18, I'm not going to have sex with you at all because of an oath. But, but I believe that at that point, you can actually love somebody. And the best thing for you to do is to find somebody when you're 14, 15 or so, fall in love, high school sweetheart, be with them your entire life, develop into a more profound love over time. The deeper levels of love, of that same love. That is what I believe is right. Anyway, so yes, it goes back to their philosophies. They want people to be Buddhists so they can put the neutral and neutralize the opposition. This is a war between people who are selfless and moral and people who are selfish and immoral. And everyone who sides with them have crossed the line from siding with the good people such as myself. They've crossed the line in deciding with selfish people. And there's varying degrees of selfishness. There is my money. There is my girlfriend. There is my drug habit. There is my family. There is my ethnic group. There is my teaching position, my school, my sorority, my football team. There's varying degrees. Obviously, the most respectable form of selfishness is doing it for your family. Your family. Your family, not mine, not his, not hers, but yours. Yours matters first and foremost. Forget everyone else. As opposed to we are all part of God's great big family. If you see what I'm saying. You are responsible for your family, first and foremost, but that responsibility doesn't mean you should violate the laws, the divine, sacred, holy laws given to us by God for the sake of your family. Now, who was it? Isaac and Jacob? It's been a while. It's been a while. Or Abraham and Isaac, I forgot. Okay, these people in the Bible, I'll put in the comments. It's been a while. I know, I believe in the morality in the Bible. Sometimes I forget these details. This guy was told by God to kill his child. Did he not say, no, God, this is my child and I will burn before I kill him? He said, well, the highest form of principle is doing God's will. Doing the will of God, doing what is absolutely correct. If God tells me to do it, I cannot then say, well, I'm being selfless by doing this. No. God has commanded me. Therefore, I cannot say, well, if I can perhaps save this person's soul, especially because if you kill him, he's going to heaven. So you can't justify it by saying you're sacrificing your soul so he can go to heaven. And you can't say that, well, maybe this is right because God has commanded you. So, again, I hate to make this a long intro, but all these things have to be explored. This is a war between good and evil, and there are varying degrees of both. This is a war between selflessness and selfishness. Do not respect people who used to be good, who then conform to the New World Order and always talk about, well, I'm this person, I'm so-and-so, and I did all this for, the civil rights movement. But now you're a feminist teaching in a controlled opposition position. Or now you're a homosexual advocating gay, you're in this New World Order job. A pedophile could make the same argument. Well, I've done all this stuff, but and that person's a pedophile every day of their life. Should we still give them respect and listen to them? No. You need to go hard all the way to the finish line. Or you may as well not go hard at all. Go hard or go home. Get off, no. You get off that fucking speaker stand, you get off the stage, and you go home. If you're not going to go hard anymore against our oppressors, just go home and shut up. Anyway, so, yes, selflessness versus selfishness. And I know of everything, many of you are going to have a hard time. It's a hard pill to swallow when I tell people that your family should not come above your morality. A lot of people have. They just cannot accept that. They say, no, I love my son. I love my parents. I love my wife. They just can't grasp what I'm truly getting at and why I'm right. They just can't. If you love them, then be that example. Show them that, yes, I love you, son, but this is God's will. And it hurts. It hurts. But I have to sacrifice our financial stability as a family to do the will of God. I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry. I may have to give you up to foster care in Babylon's system, but you remember the things that I taught you. And you remember that your father loved you, but he had to do the will of God. And so help me, I demand that when you go through the system, you become a man, you get a job, that you do the same. And if you're ever in the same position with your son, you give them up too, if you must, to do the will of God. Because family attachment is a form of selfishness when it becomes at odds with doing what is correct, what is right, what is honorable, noble, and just. Yes, it is sad. It is sad. It pains me to say that. It hurts. But I do that every day. Every single moment of every day, I go against what my father wants me to do. Every moment of every day, I put my family in jeopardy by doing what I'm doing every moment of every day. So don't you sit there like I don't know how it is just because I don't have a wife and children. Oh, I know. I've given up the prospect of having a wife and children, and I'm somebody that is dying for love more than you can imagine. I've given that up before I ever even have it. It reminds me of a saying that I'll end this intro with. It is better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And I would add to that, it is better to love and to be loved, because I've never been loved romantically by someone I was in love with and that I was with. It is better to love and to be loved and lost that than to never have had that in the first place. Now go and do the right thing, but first finish this video. It's the end of the intro. Part of the reason why I have so many, videos, is so you people know me. Especially if you've seen, of my last 1,000 videos, if you've seen, several hundred of them, then you know me a bit. These things are some of the deepest conversations, or deepest talks, if you want to call them that people have. This is who I am, what I believe, what I live for. And I'm sure you can tell by looking at me and that I'm not acting, that this is for real, that I'm for real. Some of us, we have that way about us where, it's real. And, some of you might argue with me about the family issue. And some of you will pretend to agree with me, but you'll still live your life, in a way that, your family comes first. And you know what? I was going to play the clip for you, but I'm not going to play the clip. Martin Luther King's last speech, he says, "I just want to do God's will. And he has allowed me to go to the mountaintop." Paraphrasing, something like that, almost exactly like that. "And I'll get there with you." And what was he doing? Was he not putting his family in jeopardy? Did he not choose to do God's will above, securing his family's future? If he was truly uncontrolled opposition, many of you believe he was. I personally think that at least at one point he was controlled opposition. But I also think that what he was doing was still risky, and it was still about morality for the most part. And then there were some compromises he made. Regardless, he put his family in jeopardy to do what he believed was God's will. I think that is a pretty fair and accurate statement. Okay. It's just, it doesn't sit well when you say these sorts of things, But I think if my parents truly thought about them, they would realize why God's will must come first. And if they really, want to think about it, because I value my family and I'm doing the will of God, God looks more favorably upon them. I'll leave it up to you to figure out why that is. So, in a way, it is doing what's best for your family, and the same thing can apply to you as well. If you do God's will, and God knows how you feel about your family, he may decide to keep them safe. He may decide that it's time for them to come home, as they say. Yes. Many of you don't like that I believe in God. There's a lot of atheists. You'll say, well, you're filling these people's heads with children's stories. You're making people risk their lives for children's stories. And to them, I would say, for the sake of argument, even if you were right, this is still morality. This is still making the world a better place. Even if it was a children's story, which I don't believe for not even a fraction of a second. Not even a nanosecond, not even a fraction of a nanosecond. It's still making the world a better place. It's still taking on evil. If you were truly secular humanists, then you would recognize that the most humane philosophy ever known is Christianity. It doesn't teach, killing homosexuals. It teaches it is wrong. But a true Christian is very forgiving and very accepting. So this idea that, well, this philosophy is hateful and oppressive is nonsense. A Christian doesn't demand that you be a Christian. They might emphatically declare that Christianity is superior, but they don't demand that you be a Christian. Not a true Christian. We gotta look at things in their pure form to judge them. We can't judge them by misinterpretation. That's nonsense. Me, I am a Christian at war. Okay? So you can't even really judge a true Christian by what I do per se, because not every true Christian is at war. I'm a true Christian at war. Not playing around one bit. On a divine mission from God Almighty, and I am not afraid to say so no matter what those cowards, sissies in mental health will say about it. This is God's will and a mission from God. And I'm proud of it. For how could a man die better, you fools, than facing the fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers in the temples of his God? How indeed. How indeed. It's even better than dying with your family around you. Your children in your lap, your wife in your arms. That is a great way to die. Beautiful, poetic, romantic, but not divine and sacred. There is a certain degree of divinity, there is a certain degree of sacredness, but not as divine and sacred as dying for the Lord Almighty in the process of doing God's most sacred work. Facing the fearful odds, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, facing evil without fear, facing the fearful odds without fear. You see, all these spiritual bottom feeders, I do this for you as well. I'm showing you the error in your way so you don't burn in hell. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. I'm saying you're wrong, and this is not a small mistake. This is not a twig in your eye. You are headed for eternal damnation. And what kind of an indifferent coward would I be not to point it out? And not to point out to all those you are trying to infect with your spiritual bottom-feeding philosophies that this is not the road that God, our Creator, gave us. So by rebuking you, by criticizing you, I am helping you see the truth. I will not accept philosophies that lead to hell without preaching the word of God. I won't accept in my life. You can do that. But don't expect me to be quiet about it and to let you walk off a cliff and say, hey, that's a cliff, right? Buddy, no, it's hard not to tell you over and over again. That's a fucking cliff right there. And at the bottom is fucking hell. It's hard, man. It's hard to see this going on, man. It's hard. Like Martin Luther King said, longevity is something we all want. Not in those words, paraphrase. Longevity is nice. Live a long, happy life with your family. I think all of us, no matter how bitter we are, how much we want, might deny it, we all want to live with our loved ones a long, happy life. We want to relax. We want to have it easier rather than harder. We want good things to happen rather than bad. And I have it in my sights. I have the promised land in my sights. I see it. I know it's there. I couldn't be wrong. I feel it. And I'm on the verge of reaching it. And I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies, denying that it exists. I wouldn't wish this denial on my worst enemies. The denial of, that there's there's truly a heaven. This denial that you see in society where people don't believe in heaven. They don't believe in morality. Man, it's all, like Bob Marley said, all I ever have is redemption songs. All I ever have is morality, and that is my redemption. In a way, that is my redemption song being, sung by my soul, by my being. Vibrational song, sort of tune, sort of classical music or something, playing, humming, just playing. Morality, that is my vibrational level, if you will. That is my energy. Man, I just, it's hard on a brother, man. It's hard. I see it. I'm going for it. It's painful. I'm not allowing, people work out. They'll work out their body. Why? You're accepting that pain because you have goals. You want to be in shape. You got to do the same thing with your soul and with morality. You have to accept that pain. You have to sacrifice that time that you could be doing something else. You have to put yourself in a state of discomfort and achieve it. Grab it. Don't ever, ever let it go. Don't ever turn back. Walk a higher path. My past, is marked with indiscretions, mistakes, as any man's. Walk that path. Stop doing the wrong thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing for your families, for yourself. Give them blessings. Give them eternal blessings in the afterlife. Look for the super long term, the way long term, the distant future, past your death, 1,000, 2,000 years from now. Work toward it. Do what's best for all humanity, for your soul, for your families at the same time. Have that foresight. Have that spiritual and moral foresight and acuity. Grab it. Have that spiritual clarity. Grab it, grab it, grab it. Man, sometimes when I'm giving speeches, they're passionate, but I get too harsh, and I feel this slight darkness, and this beautiful light, and there's a slight darkness from this hatred, this resentment of my enemies, this darkness that I want to treat them in a very dark way, but I don't feel that so much right now. When I reference it, I think of it, I'm kind of reliving it, but now, find that light, hold on to it. I truly know what it means to preach the word of God, to have the word be your sword. I understand that. Perhaps I lack a certain amount of faith in a way, because I do not believe that I could preach this way that's going to change the world, that we must fight. I make up for what I think I cannot achieve with passionate speeches, with me truly telling you the truth and letting it flow through me. I say, well, then I will pick up the sword and I will defend. Because they won't let me. They won't give me the forum I need to reach the masses. They won't let people hear me. They won't let people hear the word of God from my being, as my being screams for the masses to listen. So I want to make them listen. If they only understand violence, then so be it. They will hear the word of God, and no spiritual bottom feeder, no materialistic conformist, no one will stop me. And Lord, please help me find that balance. Help me find the true way. Give me the faith to proceed without shedding the blood of the scum But if their blood must spill, then let it flow!